Certainly, I would say the Bihar Yatra, the way I would read it, has underlined the fact, how shall I put it, that he is the only alternative today from the opposition to Narendra Modi in the future, whenever that future comes.
Is this a turning point for Congress in Bihar?
Yes, I think it could be a turning point, Karan, because Rahul Gandhi has taken the bull by the horn and has entered Hindi heartland in a major way, leading a campaign. As I said, the show was his. He was not playing second fiddle to the regional parties. The Congress party, according to me, has become soft, flabby, unused to doing hard work. Rahul Gandhi wants to change that. He's bringing in a lot of younger people, giving them responsibilities. But, you have to knuckle down to. Suppose you're going through an area in Bharat Jodo Yatra. You had huge response. You had a rally that was very big. People looking at you with interest. Did you follow this up that there'll be a training shivir 10 days later in this place? All those who want to join in, want to work in this direction, come there. There was no follow-up at all of any kind. And I think it's that they have to address.
A naked man has little to no influence on society. In clothes like this, you step out and you know that you're going to turn heads. You know that you're going to create an impression of a person who cares deeply about the way they look and has a finer eye for detail. And, that seems to be the Bombay Shirt Company way. What I really love about these clothes, and I really mean this looks like a man has walked into the room. I like that. It's nice.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on The Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.
Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. Rahul Gandhi's 1300-kilometer Voter Adhikar Yatra culminates today in a grand march in Patna. So today we look back and ask, how has it fared? What sort of success has the Yatra had? What sort of people participated? Has it made a sizable impact on important communities like the Muslims, Yadavs, EBCs and Dalits? How has it positioned the Mahagathbandhan vis-a-vis both the ruling alliance and Prashant Kishore's challenge? And will it have a meaningful impact on the forthcoming elections? Those are the key issues I shall raise today with one of India's foremost senior journalists, the contributing editor of the Indian Express and the author of How Prime Ministers Decide, Neerja Chaudhary. Neerja Chaudhary, Rahul Gandhi's 1300-kilometer Voter Adhikar Yatra culminates today with a grand march in Patna. How successful has the Yatra been? Did people turn out in their thousands or did they turn out in their lakhs?
Look, from all accounts, Karan, the Yatra drew large crowds. It didn't just draw large crowds, the crowds were enthusiastic. You can feel a crowd by the kind of response they give to the leaders. What I call a dead crowd and a live crowd. This was a live audience that they drew. Now, whether the crowds comprise Muslim, Yadavs, but in addition to them, other communities also, we don't know the answer to that. But certainly the Yadavs and Muslims in large numbers were there. And that's the constituency of the RJD with Tejasvi Yadav, accompanying Rahul Gandhi on the yatra. Of course, there were other leaders from CPIML and the Vikashsheel Insan Party. Mukesh Sahni was there, and the India bloc leaders also joined them. Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav was there in Ara. M.K. Stalin, the chief minister of Tamil Nadu, was there earlier. In a sense, revitalizing the India alliance, which goes dormant from time to time. But essentially, from the accounts I've heard and the talks I've had with people in Bihar, it was a Rahul Gandhi show.
Now, newspaper reports suggest that a very substantial proportion of the supporters were young people. Did the youth come out in sizable numbers to support Rahul Gandhi?
I would say yes, at least as far as the crowds are concerned. If you look at the videos, yes, a large number of young people were seen. And, young people were also seen. I remember this kind of an audience was there in the 2024 elections in Uttar Pradesh, where I tracked some of these meetings. So I found the crowd a bit like that. Now, whether it'll have that kind of a result in the Bihar elections, which are going to be held year-end, that remains to be seen.
You said this was very much a Rahul Gandhi show. Do you have any sense of how people responded to Rahul Gandhi's personality and to his unique style?
Look, Rahul Gandhi, there are problems with his style. I'll tell you one very interesting thing. A quote from somebody in the RSS last week. It's a private conversation. We were discussing national politics. And this person said to me, Rahul Gandhi is genuine. This is, remember, somebody from within the RSS. Rahul Gandhi is genuine. The trouble is bhasha ka lafda, which makes him come across as not very mature in his articulation. That was their stand. But the turning point in Rahul Gandhi's political career came with the Bharat Jodo Yatra. There, one heard hardly any negative voices. People said he had walked 4,000 kilometers to come to them. That had nothing to do with the Gandhi family to which he belonged. That was him. So that was the turning point which contributed to his image makeover. But the other thing that people in Bihar are talking about, apart from the yatra, on an issue which has become a question mark in the minds of many people, that is the way he is reaching out to people. He'll put an arm around somebody, he'll go to the home of a Dalit, he'll go to the home of a poor woman. Initially, this was viewed with skepticism by many, many people. It was a show, an event. Today, I find people talking much more about it, which reflects his sincerity, like he went to Dashrath Manjhi's home. Now, Dashrath Manjhi, the mountain man, he's an iconic figure amongst, sections of the Dalits, the Musahar community, and even beyond, who cut through a hill to make, and he took years to do it himself. Only, his labor was there to make medical care available to his people. And so to them, he's a bit of a legend. He's no longer alive. But Rahul Gandhi has gone to his home. He built a house for the family. Now, this was not talked about, this was the upper caste people in Bihar talking about it, how he's reaching out to people. So this outreach to individuals and groups, I think that is having an impact apart from his yatras. But there is what people call the bhasha ka lafda, where his articulation sometimes makes him come across as, less than or not as an alternative to the Prime Minister or Narendra Modi in the future. But certainly, I would say the Bihar Yatra, the way I would read it, has underlined the fact, how shall I put it, that he is the only alternative today from the opposition to Narendra Modi in the future, whenever that future comes.
How effective was the Vote Chori slogan, which Rahul has made almost a mantra at every stage of this rally? And was there also concern for the SIR, the Special Intensive Revision that is presently underway in Bihar? Did both of these incline people towards the Yatra?
Look, this vote chori is an issue that has the potential to become emotive electorally. I was telling friends that last week I'd come back to Delhi, and at the airport, waiting for my car to come, I got in conversation with a porter who immediately asked me the first question he asked me is, "What do you think about this? Whether the elections have been fixed and what the opposition is saying." So I said to him, "What do you think?" He was obviously from Bihar. So he said, there could be something wrong. So I said, but at election time, the views of people do not reflect in the elections. So he said, ma'am, ubal aa sakta hai. Is issue ko leke ubal aa sakta hai. And I also recalled something that a Sikh taxi driver had said to me. He said, "Baki sab cheezein theek hain, but अगर वोट से खिलवाड़ हुआ तो भगत सिंह पैदा हो जाएंगे." Now I don't know whether भगत सिंह पैदा होंगे कि नहीं, but certainly this could be an emotive issue. Whether it will be remains to be seen, how it's handled, how it's followed up, what is the impact it's having on the ground. I don't know the answer to that. But certainly there is a doubt now in people's minds whether elections have been free and fair, and question marks about the Election Commission also.
And I presume credit for planting that doubt in people's minds goes at least partly, if not fairly substantially, to Rahul Gandhi.
Yes, I would say that, but the opposition leaders have also backed him. And he has flagged that issue. Yes, that is right.
Let's come to the communities that supported the Yatra. Earlier in this interview, you spoke about the sizable presence of Muslims in Yadavs. Would you say that they have consolidated behind the Mahagathbandhan?
I would say yes. This has, enthused the constituency of the RJD. So even though it has been Rahul's idea, Rahul's show, Tejasvi Yadav has gone along with it and stood with Rahul Gandhi, even though Rahul Gandhi has not yet projected him as the chief ministerial face of the Mahagathbandhan in the forthcoming election. He's gone along with it because his vote base has got charged through this. So he has a lot to gain from this yatra also. And then, of course, Akhilesh Yadav going there and standing there, he also, I think, would consolidate the Yadavs. Now, the question in my mind, and the question several people have asked, did it have other communities, large gathering? Did they have other communities? Or even if they did, will they vote for the Gathbandhan? Or could there be a backlash from the smaller OBCs and the Dalits to the consolidation and the loud assertion of the Yadavs and the Muslims, which tends to happen? Remember, in 2022 in Uttar Pradesh, this is what happened. And this is what Akhilesh Yadav guarded against in the 2024 elections in Uttar Pradesh. He told the Yadavs, he said, do not be so loud, boisterous, hold yourself back. And he gave a large number of tickets to the smaller OBCs. And that is what paid them huge dividends. And that is why they got larger number than the BJP. And it was because of Uttar Pradesh that the tally of the BJP slumped to 240 seats. They lost from 62 to 33, they came down to. Had it not been that slump, they might have made it to a majority figure. So UP played a very important role. We mustn't forget that. So I think, could a backlash take place in Bihar? It will depend on how Tejasvi Yadav, Rahul Gandhi and their allies in Bihar now move, now handle the situation. Of course, one of the reasons why the Yatra may have also been held is that the Congress party, which has hardly any organization or a base left in Bihar, would like to bargain harder with the with the RJD for the number of seats that they get.
I'll come to that in a moment's time, but let's stick for a while on the smaller communities, the EBCs and the Dalits. Don't fear, but you believe there is the possibility that there could be a EBC backlash against the Mahagarbandhan because of the very vociferous, strong support they've got from the others. That is a potential fear in your mind.
That is right, because you see, the other side is not going to be quiet. The other side has been wooing these communities. And remember, Nitish Kumar's government is now opening out purse strings. 10,000 rupees to a woman in every family, old age pension increase, 30% women are there in police force. There'll be a whole lot of things. And this does make a difference. We saw it in the Maharashtra Assembly elections last year, where the Ladki Behan Yojana, Karan, and I saw this on the ground myself, how much of a difference it did make to the BJP's fortune. So it remains to be seen, what the BJP side and NDA comes up with in the coming weeks.
What about Bihar's Dalit communities? They are nearly 20% of the population. I presume the Manjis and the Paswans are committed to the BJP-JDU alliance. But what about the Chamars? Are they with Congress and Rahul Gandhi? He started his yatra, after all, from Sasaram, which is a Chamar-dominated constituency.
That is the major question. Which is the community which is going to be the MY plus, which is this plus that's going to come? Will it be the Chamar community? Will it be any of the smaller OBCs, which are very fragmented, but together form a very large group and don't have a particular leader to lead them? So I think this is what I feel the Mahagathbandhan has been slow on the uptake. This is where it's been slow on the uptake to win over one or two or three of these communities. They may hope for the Chamar community. I don't know whether that's going to happen.
What about the upper caste? There are some reports that this time they were more receptive compared to the response they gave Rahul Gandhi during the Bharat Jodo Yatra. A, would you agree? And B, if the answer is yes, what does that suggest?
I would say yes, they are watching Rahul Gandhi very carefully, but I don't think the time has come when they are going to switch sides. And if the young amongst them switch side, they are also looking at Prashant Kishore, who is pitching his campaign at going beyond caste, community, jaded old parties, try us now. I was very surprised. I was in Bombay and I talked to somebody who works as a cook in a family who's from Bihar, very intensively political. And when I asked him this time, what do you think is going to happen? So he says, ma'am, don't rule out the response to Prashant Kishore. People are also looking at him with great interest.
Let's focus for a moment on Prashant Kishore, and then we'll focus for a moment on the BJP-JDU ruling alliance. When by-elections were held in Bihar, Prashant Kishore's party ate into the Mahagathbandhan's Muslim support. But now, after the Waqf Act and the special intensive revision, have the Muslims consolidated behind the Mahagathbandhan? And is Prashant Kishore less of a threat to the Mahagathbandhan, or would you disagree?
I think, as far as the Muslims are concerned, they'll be solidly with the Mahagathbandhan. I don't think they're going anywhere else. As far as Prashant Kishore is concerned, Bihar elections have always been fought on caste lineups, no matter what the other issues. To expect them to leave that and go for, general issues of, development, forget religion and caste and community, and we'll go for Vikas. I think it sounds good, and some younger people may opt for that kind of rhetoric. But overall, caste does play a big role, and Prashant Kishore will keep that in mind constituency-wise. So it could well be a hyper-local election in Bihar. But caste is going to play a role. You cannot rule that out. And when in the past, I remember from even VP Singh's time in the early 90s, 1990, and before that, whenever people talked of going beyond caste or religion, that had an appeal only for middle class, upper caste, middle class. That's what VP Singh used to say. Till you got your caste basis right, your social engineering right, elections, at least in northern part of the country, were very difficult to win. And so this is an issue that Prashant Kishore is also, I feel, going to face. He's saying, he's pitching it beyond caste and community, but which are the solid castes and communities that will stand?
So, in a nutshell, you're saying Prashant Kishore is a challenge for the Mahagathbandhan.
He will be a vote cutter. I think he'll cut some of the votes of the Mahagathbandhan. He's also going to cut the votes of the NDA and the BJP.
Tell me, how do the ruling BJP JDU alliance view Rahul's yatra? In public, they've been dismissive of it, but what do you believe is their real thinking? And has the yatra exposed vulnerabilities of the ruling coalition? For instance, allegations of corruption, Nitish's health, his erratic conduct. Has all of that been exposed to the ruling alliance's disadvantage?
Yes, the ruling alliance, the NDA and the BJP in particular, does not take anything lightly when it comes to elections. They will be watching every move made by the Mahagathbandhan. They will go in for course correction wherever it's needed. And yes, Nitish Kumar's failing health is an issue, and this is something people know in Bihar today. So while the BJP will not going to remove him, they probably fight the elections under him, because again, he represents certain communities. He has a following amongst the non-Yadav OBCs and what were called the Mahadalits, the Pasmanda Muslims, the backwards among the Muslims. So they don't want to rock the boat in any way. But people also know that Nitish Kumar is not going to be a long-term player now. And the BJP not having a clear face, yes, this is also a shortcoming. But on, rolling out benefits and welfare schemes for the electorate, they are going to go all out, I feel. And they will do course correction, as I have mentioned already.
We're coming to the end of this interview, but let me ask you a question or two about the impact this yatra is likely to have on the forthcoming elections. They are, as we speak, 2.5 months away. Do you believe the yatra will have a significant impact on the way people vote? For instance, is this a turning point for Congress in Bihar?
Yes, I think it could be a turning point, Karan, because Rahul Gandhi has taken the bull by the horn and has entered Hindi heartland in a major way, leading a campaign. As I said, the show was his. He was not playing second fiddle to the regional parties. Now, the answer to your question will lie on how do they build the organization. While the yatras have built Rahul Gandhi's own image, own persona, own leadership, it has not strengthened the organization of the Congress party at the ground level as it could have, had they given more attention to that. And unless you have workers on the ground, even though you may have a hawa in your favor, you don't translate it into votes. And that is the real challenge for the Congress party, which it will have to address.
Why did the Congress party not strengthen its leadership and its structure at the ground level? Is that something they simply ignored and forgot to do? Or do they not know how to do it?
No, they have very talented people even today, experienced, talented people, younger people coming in. The Congress party, according to me, has become soft, flabby, unused to doing hard work. Rahul Gandhi wants to change that. He's bringing in a lot of younger people, giving them responsibilities. But, you have to knuckle down to, suppose you're going through an area in Bharat Jodo Yatra. You had huge response. You had a rally that was very big. People looking at you with interest. Did you follow this up that there'll be a training shivir 10 days later in this place? All those who want to join in, want to work in this direction, come there. There was no follow-up at all. of any kind. And I think it's that they have to address.
But that is, in a sense, irresponsibility or at least carelessness.
Yeah, that is lack of vision. Not even lack of vision. They're just not used to hard work. That is why they're not able. I feel it's not just money and resources. They're not able to counter a machinery like the BJP.
One last question, and it's an issue you raised earlier, which I said I would take up towards the end. If the Yatra is, from the Congress's point of view, the success that we're suggesting it could be, will this embolden Congress to demand more seats? And given the Congress performance last time in 2020, when it only won 19 out of the 70 seats it contested, would a Congress demand for more seats this time around prove to be a danger for the Mahagathbandhan?
Yes, the Congress will demand more seats, and particularly after the response to the Yatra. Now, I hope they will work out the winnable seats and, see what is best for the entire Mahagathbandhan, not just the Congress. The Congress will naturally want to grow in Bihar, but that is a warning for the regional party, the RJD. They will feel that it's going to grow at their expense. And that is a classic dilemma it faces with the regional parties, why it has problems with the regional parties. But the answer to your question is yes, they will ask for more seats.
And the corollary is that could be a moment of tension and difficulty for the Mahagathbandhan, because Congress's growth will mean a check on the RJD's capacity to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's the paradox of this Yatra. Success at one level, but it creates a problem at another.
That's the paradox of the Mahagathbandhan. They have to see, short term, what do we want? Long term, what we want. I remember, again, I would quote VP Singh, who had said to one of the BJP people, when they were having a tussle, he said, our first goal is get rid of Rajiv Gandhi, फिर हम लोग आपस में निपट लेंगे. What is our immediate priority? So they have to prioritize what they want first and then see how to deal with each other.
Absolutely. The solution for success is prioritize. And the first priority from the Mahagathbandhan point of view has to be to get rid of the BJP, JDU ruling alliance. Once that's done, sort out your own problems thereafter. But if you try and sort out your problems first, you may never get rid of the governing party.
That's right. That is the real situation. Yes.
Nija Chaudhary, thank you very much for the time you've given me and for this interview. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.